Good day everyone. We are now about to discuss the module for the teacher and the community. This module discusses the external environments and accountability of school, adapting to external environment, the teacher and the community, the teacher and the state. External environments and school accountability of schools, accreditation, accountability and continuous improvement. Accountability, as practiced these days under the No Child Left Behind Act and various state systems, purports to be about improvement. But we all know that improvement requires more than just measurement. The process by which students, teachers, and administrators given an account of their progress. Accountability is a means by which policymakers at the state and district levels and parents and taxpayers monitor the performance of students and schools. So, although it has received much less attention than accountability, accreditation has become an important school and district improvement tool over the last decade. Accreditation is a voluntary method of quality assurance developed more than 100 years ago by American universities and secondary schools, and is designed primarily to distinguish schools adhering to a set of educational standards. But in recent years, accreditation has been transformed from an exercise centered almost exclusively on inputs to a research-based process for the comprehensive evaluation of an institution's effectiveness. The honest self-evaluation of an institution's vision, strategies, priorities, leadership, programs, and resources against a set of standards and associated indicators is unparalleled in its ability to uncover and bring into sharp focus special challenges and opportunities that, when addressed, often lead to significant improvement. Accreditation examines the whole institution, the programs, the cultural context, the community of stakeholders, along with student performance data to determine how will the parts work together to meet the needs of learners. So using a set of rigorous protocols, accreditation examines the whole institution, and the process is fully aligned with the goals of school improvement that challenge educators to commit to continuously push beyond the line of current competence and to frame and ask new and deeper questions and to realize more than just the completion of a management plan. Accreditation is an enriching experience for participating institutions because they benefit from the transformative power in the process. Indeed, it is not the outcome but rather the process of accreditation that yields the greatest return on investment for institution. As Congress works to reauthorize the Elementary and Secondary Education Act and the state leaders design and implement a significantly enhanced system of accountability, there is much that they can draw upon from strong accreditation processes to drive continuous improvement through next generation accountability system. This can be done through the unification or close alignment of both processes, accreditation and accountability, or through the incorporation of a number of the essential elements of the accreditation. Accreditation in practice. Advanced, the parent organization for multiple regional international accrediting bodies, accredits over 32,000 schools and districts in 70 countries across the globe. A set of research-based standards describing the conditions that are necessary for educational institutions to achieve quality student performance and organizational effectiveness form the foundation of the accreditation process. So the standards encompasses purpose and direction, governance and leadership, teaching and assessing for learning, resources and support systems, and using results for continuous improvement. Accompanying indicators and performance levels for each standard describe practices and systematic methods of driving excellence in student performance and organizational effectiveness. So the standards are systematic and address major themes across all of them, such as continuous improvement, stakeholder involvement, alignment, and equity. The one standard or set of indicators and performance levels is complete without considering all as a collective whole. So, both accreditation and accountability has a similarities. So, both systems have schools and local education agencies as their primary units of focus. Both requires the development and implementation of plans meant to result in improvement. Both put a premium on transparency, accessibility, and use of information and data. And to boost effectiveness, both utilize some level of external monitoring of improvement plan implementation, particularly for those that are in lowest tiers of performance. So all institutions participating in accreditation through advance engage in the following process. The first one is the context. The school and district profiles are prepared by assembling a host of data related to student and teacher demographics, student achievement, instructional and student support programs, and more. The profiles are living documents serving as the basis for ongoing self-assessment. The second one is the internal analysis. District and school leaders work together with stakeholders to conduct a self-assessment based on substantive standards. The institution rates its performance on each standard using a set of established rubrics based on a comprehensive collection, synthesis, and analysis of multiple sources of data and best practices including test scores. Additionally, district and school leaders use diagnostic tools to analyze student performance data and stakeholders' perception data. The third one is the external review. At least once every 5 years, Advance provides a more rigorous and impartial assessment of district and school performance through an external review conducted by professionals from within and outside of the institution's state. The external review includes school site visits, classroom observations, and in-depth analysis of evidence and data related to the performance of the institution. So, an interviews with central office staff, school board members, parents, school administrators and teachers, business leaders, and community members. The fourth one is the diagnostic review. Using the result of review process, district and school leaders work together to discover patterns in their data, refute inaccurate assumptions, and move beyond the obvious to focus on the root causes associated with performance. Through this process, districts and schools gain a better understanding of their current reality, so they may confidently build research-based plans that define actions to be implemented for better results in the future. The last one is the continuous improvement cycle. Throughout the year, district and school leaders regularly monitor implementation of their improvement strategies, discuss and analyze what is or is not working, and make any necessary adjustment to the improvement plan. They also continuously collect data to inform the ongoing self-assessment. All institutions will, as always, be directed to implement at least one improvement priority to support improvement, and all will provide progress reports at various intervals to ensure their commitment to continuous improvement. Generally, accreditation and accountability are all interrelated to each other. So our school or our institution will undergo accreditation for improvement from national and international individuals. And during this time, institution must prepare and achieve its goal for the success of accreditation, and whatever the mistakes made within institution, or to be specific, the programs or courses within, the entire school is accountable of it. The set standards and the following protocols I need to submit during the accreditation must be observed and followed so that our institution will not be accountable for any reason. In fact, during accreditation, it contains leveling, and each level has its phases like phase 1, phase 2, and so on. That depends on the achievement and improvement of the specific program or courses and many others within institution.
Okay, let's move on to integrating the best of both systems. The best practices associated with accreditation are being integrated into the state accountability model, resulting in a system that benefits from the best of both approaches to school improvement. With millions of dollars invested annually in efforts to improve our education systems, it is a wonder that accreditation, with its long history of making a difference of the quality of teaching and learning, is not front and center in the state's arsenal of school improvement tools. However, this may be changing. In the state of Kentucky, for example, about half of the schools and a quarter of the district voluntarily participate in the advanced ed accreditation processes. In 2011, Advanced Ed and the Kentucky Department of Education, or the KDA, signed a multi-year agreement designed to align the state accountability system with Advanced Ed's continuous improvement model and to encourage more schools to become accredited. Through the use of the state-of-the-art web, best tools for collecting, analyzing, and reporting relevant data, all Kentucky schools now have access to Advanced Ed's accreditation processes, and those who participate in accreditation will meet state reporting requirements without additional paperwork. The path forward. The Common Core State Standards, recently developed by the Council of the Chief State School Officers and the National Governors Association, and already adopted by 45 states and the District of Columbia, make a strong case for the notion that in the 21st century all students must have the skills and knowledge necessary to compete in the global marketplace. This will not happen unless schools make dramatic improvements. So this type of coherent approach to continuous improvement using the best accreditation and accountable system, it is required if our educational institutions are to make gains necessary to ensure that all students graduate from high school, college, and career ready. Properly conceived and implemented accreditation should be part of core school improvement activities designed to promote college and career readiness for all students. Armed with knowledge resulting from the diagnostic review, more focused and relevant research-based improvement plans can be developed to address not just the symptoms but also the causes of underperformance. Resources are often controlled by organizations not in the control of the organization needing them, meaning that strategies must be carefully considered in order to maintain open access to resources. Organizations typically build redundancy into resource acquisition in order to reduce their reliance on a single resources. Example is by liaising with multiple suppliers. Resource dependence perspective. What is resource dependence theory, or the RDT? Is concerned with how organizational behavior is affected by external resources the organization utilizes, such as raw materials. The theory is important because an organization's ability to gather, alter, and exploit raw materials faster than competitors can be fundamental to success. So, organization success in resource dependency theory, or the RDT, is defined as organization maximizing their power according to Playfair 1981. RDT is underpinned by the idea that sources are keys to organizational success, and that access and control over resources is a basis of power. So acquiring the external resources needed by an organization comes by decreasing the organization's dependence on others or by increasing others' dependency on it. That is modifying an organization's power with other organizations. RDT rests of some assumptions. Number 1. Organizations are assumed to be comprised of internal and external coalition which emerge from social exchanges that are formed to influence and control behavior. Number two is the environment is assumed to contain scarce and valued resources essential to organizational survival. And then the last one is the organizations are assumed to work toward two related objectives: acquiring control over resources that minimize their dependence on other organizations and control over resources that maximize the dependence of other organizations on themselves. So although RDT was originally formulated to discuss relationships between organizations, the theory is applicable to relationships among units within organizations. RDT is consistent with ecological and institutional theories of organizations, where organizations are seen as persistent structures of order under constant reinterpretation and negotiation, interacting with an indeterminate environment of turbulence and a multitude of competing interests.
Good morning, everyone. I was assigned to discuss the topic general environmental resources. These are all the resources that can be seen in our environment, or any materials or service and information that are valuable to our society. Example of this, those are foods and plants and animals, and heating, and also the building, metals, and coal and oil. So that's the example of the most common environmental resources, and also includes the lakes, the mga trees and to absorb the waste product of the human environmental resources po na ang mga waters, and so katong mga trees. And the environmental resources provides the materials that needs by the human in order to survive for a long period of time. But because of the challenge or the problem that we are facing about the resources, daghan ay mga problema nga atong gisuffer. First, the problem about the renewable and non-renewable. So the resources is divided into two different kind of renewable resources. This is the renewable and the non-renewable. So when we talk about the renewable, mauni silang examples ang sunlight. So syempre ang sunlight mas dugay pa sa atong kinabuhi, so maglast good ni siya nga resources. So this is the question about this topic. How can the resources can last? So because of the competence by the human, mga kompetensya about using the resources. Example, parking lot, the housing, and housing or housing development. So there is so-called a competence between the human in order for them to live or to survive. But the problem is, kung those resources nga supply ba sa gidemand ng humanity for a long period of time. Example of this, the non-renewable resources, katong mga oil and coal. The coal is maglast lang na siya sa mga 200 years. Kay once kung magamit da ang coal, once it will be extracted, mawala na dayon, dili na dayon magamit otro. And also the oil, according to research, the oil mulas na lang ni siya sa 100 years. So this is the challenge to the humanity, how to conserve the environmental resources. So that's the challenge to humanity about the general environmental resources, nga their awareness to prolong the use of resources. That's all. Thank you.
Administering resource environments. Leaders and teachers effectively manage information when they gather, organize, analyze, communicate, and use information to make wise decisions. Information is usually managed through reports, records, and other correspondence. Part of gathering helpful information is seeing that it is accurate and timely. The value of any information is dependent upon it being correct, and accuracy should be verified by the individual submitting the information before it is supplied to leaders. To ensure the reports and records are organized into the most useful and uniform fashion, the school provides the format and forms for most reports and records. Leaders and teachers analyze information to make appropriate decisions, and information may be used to analyze the following. Number 1. Enrollment and attendance trends and projections. Personnel placement needs and issues. Expenditure trends and projections. Program successes. Acquisition, maintenance, and use of physical facilities, equipment, materials, and other resources. Once information has been gathered, organized, and analyzed, administering resource environments. Leaders and teachers effectively manage information when they gather, organize, analyze, communicate, and use information to make wise decisions. Information is usually managed through reports, records, and other correspondence. Part of gathering helpful information is seeing that it is accurate and timely. The value of any information is dependent upon it being correct. Accuracy should be verified by the individual submitting the information before it is supplied to leaders. To ensure the reports and records are organized into the most useful and uniform fashion, the school provides the format and forms for most reports and records. Leaders and teachers analyze information to make appropriate decisions. Information may be used to analyze the following. Number 1. Enrollment and attendance trends and projections. Personnel placement needs and issues. Expenditure trends and projections. Program successes. Acquisition, maintenance, and use of physical facilities, equipment, materials, and other resources. Once information has been gathered, organized, and analyzed, the leaders and teachers need to communicate such information to the appropriate individuals. The leader should be careful to maintain appropriate confidentiality when communicating information and related decisions. Using accurate and timely information assists leaders and teachers in making wise decisions as they strive to meet the objective of education. Resources. There are many resources needed to support the preparedness program. These resources can be organized into different categories: people, facilities, systems, equipment, materials, supplies, and funding. Information resources are needed for all phases of the program, including deterrence, prevention, mitigation, emergency response, business continuity, crisis communications, and disaster recovery.